somebody keeps going. Thank you, Mark.
Asked if there's anybody here for the first time and nobody raised their hand. On the other hand, you want to know a secret?
Yes.
It's a secret. But I'll tell you anyway. When there's a new audience that I'm not used to, which is, every now and then it happens. When I sing Jayarada Madhava, I look around the room to see who doesn't know the words. Because that says there's somebody that's a little newer. That was a secret. But now you know. So there's a few people here who didn't know the words to that song. Very simple song, very beautiful. Names of Krishna in Vrindavan. Different relationships that the devotees in Vrindavan have with Krishna, different pastimes that Krishna performs in Vrindavan with his devotees, all loving exchanges of different kinds. That's the nature of the song. And specifically, these names of Krishna that indicate his loving relationship with his devotees have a very special potency if you don't know the meaning. That special potency is, they have the potency beyond liberation to take one to the stage of prema. Special potency. So it's a nice song to learn. And our founder, Chari, would sing regularly before every class, and so our followers do this most of the time also, or his followers. And that was the song, and now I'd like to speak something about, or from Srimad Bhagavatam. So those of you that are in the newer category, does anybody here need an introduction to what is Srimad Bhagavatam? I want to be relevant, relatable to those of you that are newer.
Be nice.
Even the regulars, you want to know.
Yes.
What is it?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask another question like that, so get ready. Srimad Bhagavatam, I'll keep it simple and short because I want to narrate something from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam appeared shortly after Krishna's departure. So Krishna's departure marks the end of the previous Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and then a little juncture, a little Sandhi, and then Kali Yuga. That's the present age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And Srimad Bhagavatam made its appearance after that. There's many details, I'm just giving a simple thing. And this Srimad Bhagavatam is said by the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami, that it's the way by which Krishna planned, after his departure, that religious principles would be upheld by the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Krishna's presence, just by his walking on the surface of the earth. All auspiciousness was created. All auspiciousness was created, and in addition, Krishna took care of those that were inauspicious. Vinashaya Duskritam. And then after Krishna's departure, the question was raised by a group of sages. Now that Krishna's gone, where is that auspiciousness? Where do we take shelter? The answer? We take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam is none different than Krishna. Say it again. Srimad Bhagavatam is none different than Krishna. Very good. Strong. Not so. The Padma Purana, another one of these ancient texts, says specifically the 12 cantos represent each of the 2 cantos, 3 and 4 cantos, 5 and 6. They represent the body, the transcendental form of Krishna, starting with his 2 lotus feet and so forth. The form of Krishna in sound. The name of Krishna does the same thing. There's somebody sent me this, Balabhadra mentioned he was watching a video of Prabhupada speaking in 26 Second Avenue. Somebody sent me, it's like a, 4.5 minute clip from a lecture in New York, and Prabhupada was explaining the same thing about Sankirtan. I'll say it quickly, but it's really, really sweet. In the beginning, the Hare Krishna movement was started with the holy name, and Prabhupada explained. So, people may not have understood, they may have understood, they may have paid attention, they may not have paid attention, but it created auspiciousness, and he moved his hands like this. It created auspiciousness. That's how the Hare Krishna movement started. This chanting of the holy name. He said, in the beginning, I didn't even have a drum. He looked around the room. And we didn't have prasadam at that time. All we had was the holy name. And then we took the holy name into the public. And our devotees, he looked around the room and said, some know Brahmananda and Achyutananda, they would dance. So chanting and dancing. And that was before the feasting in philosophy, just chanting and dancing. That, although people, it was the dark age of Kali, auspiciousness was created. People may not have understood. Auspiciousness was created just through the Mahamantra, chanting. Similarly, auspiciousness is created by the presence of Srimad Bhagavatam in this world. And, therefore, it was a very strong desire of our founder Acharya that Srimad Bhagavatam be available in every home in America. So if your home doesn't have Srimad Bhagavatam, think about it and invite Srimad Bhagavatam into your home. And if you have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home, bring it into your heart. Because auspiciousness will be created, which means inauspiciousness will be driven away, just like by Krishna's placing his lotus feet on earth when he was present. Abundant auspiciousness created. So, just during the Thanksgiving holiday, I spent over 30 hours discussing a little section of this Srimad Bhagavatam. From Canto 7, the discussion, well, the topic that I chose was the teachings of Prahlad, because previously I covered the prayers of Prahlad, which are wonderful, marvelous, fantastic. And that left, it was incomplete without the teachings. They're not different, but just the mood is very special. So, Prahlad Maharaj, does anybody here need to know a little background on who is Prahlad Maharaj? Haribol, okay. Prahlad Maharaj. Well, in the world today, there's terrorists. They're tiny terrorists compared to Hiranyakashipu. He was a mega-terrorist. He was terrorizing the universe. Very powerful. Literally, the whole universe. He conquered the whole universe. Very powerful. Mystic powers, military power, power. He was the top of the power guild. And he had a son who was just the opposite. His son was named Prahlad. And Prahlad explains in chapter 10 of this 7th canto that he's offering up in one of his prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, one of the forms of Krishna that appeared to protect him. He said, because in this age, because in this world, there's overabundance of passion and ignorance, you sent me. No. The residing place of Lord Nrsimhadev is the spiritual world. That means, it's implied, he is a resident of the spiritual world. He's a Vaikunthavasi. And he descended to this world at the request of Lord Vishnu or Lord Nrsimhadev to do what? To show by example the way of pure devotional service. So the whole of Bhagavad Gita and certainly the whole of Bhagavatam is teaching not just devotional service, but the standard of pure devotional service, which is rare and hard to achieve, but Prahlad is offering it. Please take it. Please take it. Please take it. Just have to say yes. And then do some things that taking it implies. So I'm going to just discuss 3 sections, the first 3 of 7 sections and of Prahlad's teachings, hoping that it will inspire you to take the Bhagavatam off your shelf and read. Plunge into the nectar of Krishna's compassion, Krishna's auspiciousness, Krishna's personal presence, just through sound. So we're going to go to Canto 7, Chapter 5, 3 places in Canto 7, Chapter 5. There's many other sections following that one. Prahlad was born in an unusual way. He was within the womb of his mother for a really long time. For the whole duration of time that his father was off in the forest undergoing austerities in order to achieve immortality, which he thought he got but he didn't. His wife was pregnant. And his wife, Kayada was her name, was entrusted to Narada, and she requested, well, for the duration of time that Hiranyakashipu was gone, she requested a benediction. She got 3. The benediction she requested is the son not be born until my husband comes back from the forest doing his austerities. So Narada gave that benediction. And he gave 2 other benedictions, which Lord Nrsingadeva upheld. He will not be harmed by anyone. It's impossible to harm Prahlad. Why? Because Narada said so. And because Narada said so, Lord Vishnu upheld the word of Narada, because that's what came later in Prahlad's prayers. He's upholding the word of his devotee, because Lord Vishnu is one of his most outstanding quality is Bhakta Vatsala. He holds his devotee very dear. Devotees like Narada, when they utter something, it happens. Just because they utter it. Now we're not so powerful. Because we're not so pure. Purity is the force. And the force is Vishnu or Krishna. So he was born when his father came back from the forest, thinking, I'm now invincible. I'm the super terrorist, and I'm invincible. I'm going to rule the world forever. I'm God. He thought like that. He also thought, he who is God is my enemy. That's part of the program. If you want to be a terrorist, it helps to think like that. Vishnu is my enemy. I want to take his post. So, his father, when Prahlad was of age to go to school, he entrusted him in the school. The school was run by his spiritual master, Shukracharya, and his 2 sons, Chanda and Amarka, ran the school. And because there were other boys his age, they were in the same school. And fatherly affection is there even in demons. So he very affectionately, one day after a school that had been going on for some time, he asked his son, placed him on his lap, tears going down his cheeks, affectionately looking upon his son, asking his son, what's the best thing that you've learned? No. I sometimes ask that question of young people when I meet them. I ask it a little differently, but what's your best subject? What's your worst subject? And what are you doing about it? Anyway, so what's the best thing he learned? Now, the best thing he learned was not from these two school teachers. The best thing he learned was from Narada Muni. Because Prahlad, when he was within the womb of his mother, Narada was instructing his mother. And so it was two persons hearing, the mother and the child in her womb. And the child in the womb didn't forget after he was born. His mother forgot. And the explanation is given why she forgot is because she is attached to the temporary. And when you're attached to temporary, you forget. Like, what did I do yesterday at this time? Or something. What to speak of 5 years ago. But Prahlad had that memory. Prahlad's bhakti, through sound vibration, he didn't do anything. He just heard. He just heard. And then it became fixed. Pure bhakti. So when his father asked him, what's the best thing you've learned? He spoke about pure bhakti. Naturally, that's the best thing you learn. But there's a big obstacle that his father was facing, like a mountain of an obstacle. And that's in the first teaching. So that's where we're going to start. That's all background. Here comes the class. The sadhu manye sura varya dehi nama sada samudvigna dhyam asatgrahat. What does that mean? There's two important words in those two lines. Dehi nam. There's dehi, there's deha, there's dehi nam. Those are just grammatical ways of taking those who receive a material body, pretty much every one of us. There may be some ghosts floating around, doubt it. We all have a body. Those who receive a body, and then asat, grahat. Grahat has the same root as grahasta, griha, the body, and the extensions of the body, my home, my spouse, my child or children, my possessions, basically, I and mine. Those that have a body and identify with it, that's the I am this body concept, material concept of material conception of self. And then identifying with the extensions of the body, that's mine, I and mine. Those are in this I and mine consciousness. Samudvigna dhyam. D-H-I, indicates intelligence. And samudvigna means filled with anxiety. Filled with anxiety. Those other things that you'll hear in just a moment. But you identify with the temporary, and everything is uncertain. One thing we know is certain, that's death. Two things are certain, death and taxes. But what's next? It's uncertain. I've mentioned that I spent time in New York. So, New Yorkers are proud. I mean, some people are not proud, but kind of the model of a New Yorker is proud. When 9/11 happened, the bubble burst. Everyone became religious. I wasn't there, but but Chandrasekhar Swami was there and he shared with me. Normally at crosswalk, I wanted to go back to the Bhagavatam verse, but just to illustrate, what happens when you identify with the temporary. So, in a big city, New York is, I'm sure, not the only place, people don't wait for the green light to walk. They walk whenever they can walk, and then the cars have to stop because the pedestrians are in the crosswalk. But after 9/11, they not only stopped, they waited at the curb, and not waited at the curb, but they prayed. There were little altars of multi-denominations on this side and that side of every corner. They were stopping and praying. May I cross the street safely? It lasted for a while, and everything went back to usual. Almost. So if you identify with the temporary, if you start with the nearest and dearest thing, the body. Nearest and dearest thing, the body. The mind. And samudvigna dhyana. Intelligence is filled with anxiety. Always disturbed. That's this age of Kali. People are always disturbed. Directly spoken in the Bhagavatam. Hivatmapatam griham andakupam. Andakupam means a dry well, a blind well, a dark well. So such persons seeking for happiness in eye and mind find themselves in the bottom of a dark well that has no water, but only misery. This is Prahlad speaking to his mega-terrorist father. So therefore, you should leave your palace and your wealth and your riches and your power, go to the forest and take shelter of Hari. Dharim Hari Ashrayeta. Become Vishnu's devotee. What? He threw his son off his lap and said, "Who did this?" Because that's one of the first things. Let me get the enemy. Then he turned to the teachers. One of the boys must be coming in and polluting his intelligence. Make sure this doesn't happen again. So the teachers were trying two things. Where'd you learn this? And whoever it is an enemy. So that's the next set of teachings. This phrase comes several times. Para and Sva. Para and Sva is translated as friends and enemies. Sva is oneself, and para is somebody else. Friends and enemies. Prahlad says, I've heard about this. People that think friends and enemies, and now I'm seeing it. From his teachers. Their question was, which enemy has given this to you? Where did you learn this? He goes through a series of things, which my appreciation, or a partial appreciation of the sequence of these teachings of Prahlad is, there's a foundational one, and then he builds on the foundation. So when you identify with the temporary, your intelligence is filled with anxiety, and you see in terms of us and them. Groupism and friend and enemy and duality. You identify with duality. Now, in the material world, what's a friend? I have my needs, interests, and concerns, and people that help me, or at least they care about my needs, interests, and concerns. That's a friend. And somebody that interferes, the enemy. It's about me, or mine. I and mine. In chapter 10, Prahlad says, only someone who is very unintelligent thinks that way. Unintelligent means covered intelligence, because there's some intelligence, and that's what Prahlad says to his teachers. You're seeing friend and enemy is because of the same, asat-grahat. You're attached to the temporary, asat. The language of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, asat Krishna. It's a nice word. Thirst. Thirst for the impermanent. That's material life. Thirst for the impermanent. And such a person then has pashu bodhi. Pashu is not a complimentary term. It means an animal consciousness. Materialistic life. That's how Prabhupada has translated it. Asat graha. Those who have materialistic conception of life, they think in terms of friend and enemy. You have to. It's default. But supposing you don't have materialistic consciousness, then what do you see? He says, you see everyone as Krishna's devotee. Now, some of Krishna's devotees are not serving so favorably. But you see everyone as Krishna's devotee, because by nature, that's who we are, isn't it? Besides Aham Brahmasmi, or spirit, what do spirit souls do? They serve the Supreme Spirit. And that's every living entities, even Hiranyakashipu, or small Hiranyakashipus, or people that are mean, people that are bullies. They don't have to be like, hit you, whack you with a stick bully. They can be intellectual bullies or other kinds. In this world there's a lot of people that are, because they're hurting so much inside, they've been victims, they now become perpetrators. It's just, boom, boom. It's the standard syndrome in the world. And then they hurt other people who then become victims, who then become perpetrators, and so it goes. So how does that chain stop? Spiritual consciousness. And how does that spiritual consciousness come about? By associating with one who has spiritual consciousness. That's how. And hearing and associating and purifying through the process of, in our case, the process of devotional service to Krishna. He's teaching pure devotional service to Krishna. And then he says, my dear teachers, that very same person who gives you the intelligence thinking friend and enemy has given me the intelligence to think there's no such thing as friend enemy. That everyone is servant of Krishna. And Vishnu is my Lord and Master. He's given me that intelligence. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. And then he says, it's another very interesting thing. He says, just like iron is attracted by a magnet, so also my consciousness is attracted to Vishnu. In other words, I'm a spontaneous bhakta. You want to know where it comes from? It comes from Super Soul. He attracted me to him. He's very kind, he gave me that intelligence. Now, he didn't say Narada's name. He just said, Super Soul gives me this intelligence. That's really not it. But, so the teaching of pure devotion is, we have to let go of the bodily conception of life and the conception of mind, the extensions of the body, those things, they're mine. There's a spiritual conception of I, and there's a spiritual conception of mind. He doesn't go into that with Chanda and Martha. They have to, take the beans out of their ears so they can hear. They'll never understand. As long as they remain attached. And he says that. Super soul, you can't see, you can't understand, doesn't mean anything to you when you have this bodily conception of life. Just, your receiver is off. You don't even have the wrong signal, just your receiver is off. You can't, you're getting another kind of intelligence. Your Vishnu is the enemy intelligence. Or someone else is my enemy. You can't see Super Soul. You can't be Krishna conscious. He doesn't use the word Krishna conscious, but that's ours. As long as that's, you can be a sincere person, good person, etc., but you have to let go of the bodily conception and the I and mine thing and the friend and enemy thing. You have to let go of it. Again, Super Soul gives the intelligence. He's saying to Shandan Marga, for you to see friend and enemy, that same source is giving me the intelligence to see Vishnu as my worshipful Lord. He says the same thing later to Hiranyakashipu. Where are you getting this power? The same thing you get your power, Dad. Vishnu. So that's to the teachers. Then some time passes. The teachers don't have an exchange like that for some time. They think he got over it. He was just a little boy, and now he's a normal Asura again. Everything's nice. And so again, his father, Hiranyakashipu, sometime later, again very affectionately, fatherly affection upon his son. His son comes before him, prostrated obeisances, mega-terrorist father, prostrated obeisances by Prahlad. Why? Because he's Krishna's devotee. He's just kind of got some signals wrong. Some wires crossed, something. But he doesn't relate to him that way. He relates to him as his father, his beloved father. So then his father asks him again, you've had many, many teachings since we spoke last. What's the best thing that you've heard from your teachers? And again, Prahlad is thinking, Narada Muni, that's the best thing. And he describes Vishnu Bhakti. You know the 9 processes of Bhakti? Those of you that know the verse, you can say it with me. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu You skipped one. You skipped one. You messed us up. Bhagavad, what's the 9 processes of Bhakti? Chanting, hearing. Vishnu Smaran, remembrance.
Dashing, serving,
Sakyam, friendship,
and
Atmanivedana. There's only 3 more. Yes, let's go. Pada Sevan and worship the lotus feet. Arshanam deity worship. No. Let's do the Bhagavatam. Vandana. Prayer. Let's do it again. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, Smaranam. Pada Sevanam, worshipping the lotus feet. Archanam, deity worship. Vandanam, prayer. Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Those are all the methods of bhakti. Hiranyakashipu decided not just that this boy has been contaminated by the enemy, he's the enemy. Friend enemy, right? Because he knew that Vishnu killed his younger brother. Varaha killed Hiranyaksha. So I've taken a solemn vow, I'm going to kill Vishnu, he's my enemy. And somebody becomes a Vishnu Bhakta, he's the enemy, not just my son. Kill him! Father wasn't a nice man. Kill him! But Narada gave a benediction that he couldn't be killed. And so Vishnu upheld the benediction in many ways. He tried many ways. And the chapter ends with Hiranyakashipu became fearful. Along with friends and enemies, it's just part of the bodily conception. Here comes the next one, Bhayam. The most powerful person in the universe is fearful, because he recognized my fear, my power is surpassed by this little boy. He's more powerful than me. Uh-oh. So Chanda and Amarka, they saw in his countenance that he's very disturbed. So they tried to console him, pacify him, saying, Hiranyakashipu, he's just a little boy. He's just 5 years old. He'll get over it. He'll grow up and be a nice asura. We'll teach him very nicely and trust him to us. Because he's already tried to kill and he couldn't kill him. So it's just, the next measure. And so he went back to school. And when he went back to school, he didn't forget what he heard from Narada. He remembered everything he heard from Narada. So the chapter ends where Chanda and Amarka go home from the school to take care of some household duties. And the kids, the classmates, boys 5, 6 years old in his school, they want to play. That's what little kids like to do. I have first-hand experience, although I'm not a family man. I interact with many children, and I've learned from the children the standard of a good school is how much time you have for playing. I can give some anecdotals. But that's a good school. There's time to play. So when the teacher left the classroom, kids wanted to play, but they looked up to Prahlad and they invited him to play. And he wasn't interested in that. So instead he sat them down, and with great, the closing verse of the chapter says, with great respect and rapt attention, they heard from Prahlad. They heard pure bhakti. That's how pure bhakti, that's how bhakti begins. Bhakti begins by associating with one who has it. And if you find a Prahlad Maharaj, go for it, because he's a Shuddha Bhakta. So that's what he gave. And when you go home, you can see what the teachings were at the beginning of chapter 6. Komara Acharet Pragyo Dharman Bhagavataniya. It's a wonderful section. Prabhupada writes in the introduction, at the beginning of that chapter 6, that's his teachings to the classmates. It's 2 sentences, I'll say it twice. It's really nice. One should take shelter of the lotus feet of Prahlad Maharaj, because by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Prahlad Maharaj, one will learn the mood of devotional service. And then, the second sentence is, one who has entered into that mood of devotional service can understand there's no material qualification needed. Because abundantly Prahlad would say, not only am I not qualified, I'm disqualified. When speaking to Lord Nrsimhadev, he knew by birth at least his disqualification. But one of his qualifications was his humility. He didn't think false ego. He didn't think too much of himself. He thought of himself as very tiny, which we all are, very tiny. Before the Supreme Lord, we're super tiny. And he's unlimited. So Prahlad shows the mood of devotional service. So studying very carefully, even again and again, studying very carefully again and again. Lord Chaitanya heard the story of Prahlad and Dhruva hundreds of times, again, and say it again, from Gadadhar Pandit, right in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? It teaches the way of pure devotional service. Same thing that Lord Chaitanya came to give, the way of pure devotional service. Not only devotional service, pure devotional service. Lord Chaitanya gave even more, the mood of Vrindavan. But the mood of pure devotional service is in Vrindavan too. He teaches the way. He shows the mood of one engaged in devotional service. And there's no material qualification necessary. Say it negatively. There's no material disqualification to enter into bhakti. You don't have to be this or that or the other thing. Or you're not disqualified unless you are this or that or the other thing. You just need mercy. And you need some eagerness to make that connection with loving service to the source of everything, which is totally natural. Totally natural. It's a very natural, lovely, wonderful process, and Prahlad is teaching it, both by his words and by his example. So those of you that have Srimad Bhagavatam, I invite you or encourage you, look carefully at that section, ideally again and again. And if you don't have a Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm sure somebody, when I'm done speaking, will tell you how you can get a Srimad Bhagavatam and take to your home. And have a little installation ceremony in your home and so forth. You're going to tell them about how to get a Bhagavatam set in their home? I bet you'll be happy to do that, right? I can tell by your smile. Okay. Any comments or questions? Yes?
Thank you for your talk, Maharaj. Really enjoyed it. My question is, can anyone be permanently disqualified from devotional service?
Well, I already answered that, but the answer is no. Permanently, no. Do you have some other idea you'd like to share with us?
No, it's just like we all see the world around us and all the things that are going on.
Yeah.
Bad karma that different people are accumulating, and we just think that how, based on like me myself, like all the things that I've done in my previous life up to even at this point, like, sometimes I question like, is it really?
Let me ask you a question. Is Krishna limited or unlimited? Okay. Is Krishna's mercy capacity limited or unlimited?
Towards whom?
Huh?
Towards whom?
No, I didn't say towards whom. I just Krishna's mercy capacity towards anyone. Limited or unlimited? You're a small timer compared to Jankai and Bhatai. But that you feel very humble about my disqualification, you're right in the same boat with Prahlad. Because he's feeling disqualified. But here's the good news. He says, more or less, I'm paraphrasing, the good news is you're merciful. And so, although I'm disqualified and I'm way down here, because you're merciful, to the best of my capacity, I'll offer my words to you, and you will accept. That's the operative principle. He's merciful. Krishna is very kind. Any limit? No limit. To the most bad? No. Not limited. And you're not the most anything. Prabhupada would say. Oh, Prabhupada is the most fallen. You're not the most anything. Okay? Yes?
It's very nice. And I like to, it's like a so-called grihastha.
The noise in the hall is louder than you.
Like a so-called grihastha, like a man. And how we attach everything, how can come in the, within everything, within Krishna is the center. How come it's possible?
How is it possible to put Krishna in the center of your household?
Yeah, so-called householder.
Not why you say so-called. Why are you saying so-called? Are you a householder or are you a so-called householder?
So-called householder.
Oh. And can you define what you mean by a so-called householder?
Means I am not qualified for householder, that's why I am
Okay.
myself.
Well, you associate with those that are qualified and you become qualified. That's how. And they'll show you how to put Krishna at the center. And it's not just by doing this ritual and that ritual and avoiding those other things over there. It's not a behavior. It's not just a set of behaviors. And then you become a qualified householder. It's the consciousness within. And that consciousness within, the good news, it's already there. It just has to be awakened because it's forgotten. And it's awakened by the association of one who's awake. Prabhupada, morning walk in Vrindavan. It's a longer version, but a shorter version because of time. Preaching means you see a spark and you fan it. That's preaching. The spark becomes a flame. The spark is, I want to become not a so-called, but a genuine something. That's the spark. And then here comes and Prabhupada went like this, said, not too much, not too little. And then the spark becomes a flame. Not too much, not too little. That's, sadhu sangha. And then his eyes got really big. He said, in an expert preacher, the flame becomes a blaze. But just to go from so-called to genuine, association, sadhu sangha. There's a really wonderful section. You have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home?
Yes.
Oh, good. Please read Canto 3, Chapter 25. There's 8 verses where it speaks about sadhu sangha. How to recognize a sadhu, how to associate with a sadhu, what happens when you associate with a sadhu. And I forget the numbers, but it starts in 20s. Real nice section. And it's in response to Devahuti's question, which is similar to your question. She asked it differently, but it's similar. How to go beyond attachment to the temporary. She doesn't use those words, but that's what she's asking. Not the form, but the substance, the essence. And the answer is through sadhu sangha. That's how. And then there's details what that looks like. And you connect with those sadhus and the principles of sadhu sangha, and you become a genuine. Whatever you want to become, whatever Krishna wants you to become. Yes?
So, Kamala is the son of the greatest demon in the universe.
Yep.
And therefore you can assume that the kids he goes to school with are also the sons and daughters of pretty big demons.
Yes.
So why would those kids listen to Ramana while his teachers don't?
Because there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat eve tarorjana. You know the verse? Shreshta means the best. He's the best. He's got Shakti, he's got power. Because he's pure. Purity is the force. He's a very powerful person. Young boy. So they looked up to him. You know, at the end, when he gives us the chapter 6, they say, wow. Where'd you learn all this? Because it's the same question his father and his teachers asked. But you know, we only know Shanda and Amarka and our Asura parents. We don't hear this anywhere. Where'd you hear it, Prahlad? Then he told them, when I was in the womb of my mother, Narada taught me. Because he said, at the end of chapter 6, from Narada I learned all these things. How'd you get Narada's association? But at the end of chapter 7, they're having kirtan. They fully accepted, because it made sense. So they weren't super attached little asuras. That's all they had heard, kind of little asuras. But when they heard the truth, it was wow. And he laid it all out, really graphically. And they liked it. It touched their hearts. They became Vaishnavas just like him. Just from that association with a Vaishnava. That's how we become. Otherwise they would have become, Asuras. Like anybody else that's out there that doesn't get sadhu sangha. They become so-called somethings. Okay? Yeah, it's about Bhadra.
You mentioned the last staying in the womb of his mother.
Yeah.
The time frame when Rani Kaspi is scary.
It's a long Bhagavatam class.
So 125 years of the demigods, is that correct?
I don't know.
There's only one verse that refers to it.
Yes.
So someone asked me that question, I was kind of like a little dumbfounded. So,
Well, is it earthly time or heavenly time? Don't know.
right.
But it's that many years. That's a long time.
It's longer than Shukadeva Swami was. He was in the room 16 years.
Well, that was just 16. But when he came out, he was 16. And when Prahlad came out, he wasn't 120 or 125 or 100, whatever it was. He was a little boy. Little baby. Well, that was Narada's benediction. She requested, he gave it.
So he heard the Bhagavatam the entire time?
It didn't say Bhagavatam. It was transcendental knowledge. Doesn't say Bhagavatam. It's transcendental knowledge. No. Transcendental knowledge. Shuddha Bhakti. Under whatever the label or title. Okay, we're all happy or hungry. One of these. So you're going to tell them about a Bhagavatam set? Well, you just...
Romapada Swami.
It's impromptu, we're all prepared. But he knows his territory.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing a wonderful Krishna conscious philosophy with all the devotees. So let's give a big Hari Bol for Romapada Swami Maharaj. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So Maharaj actually wanted us to distribute more Bhagavatam. Actually, we should all know that we just distributed 40 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam when Amarendra Prabhu was here. Very good. And then we'll have a Gita Jayanti on 18th of December and we'll have lots of Gita. We are trying to do 108 sets of Bhagavad Gita boxes. So our next part of the program will be welcome and we'll be asking all the Sunday feast sponsors to come and do the mini arati. So we have for this today's Sunday feast sponsor, Manoj Mishra and family, Pradhan and family, And we have Sanjay Ganatra family. Please come and do the mini arati. Is anyone? Hare Krishna. So they are actually sponsoring Sunday feast to get the blessings of the devotees and the deities of Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Govinda and Jagannath Balaji Subhadra Devi. And they also have at least 10 or 15 family members there here for today's Sunday feast. So would you like to have any special prayer?
We are good.
Good?
As long as you have it.
Okay. Let us pray for the Pradhan family. Actually, they are with Kailal. Who is Sunipa? Sunipa is you. Anushaka and Anvika. Good family. So let us raise our hand and please for this wonderful family, let us chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. And they are actually sponsoring Sunday feast for Ian, their son.
Yes,
Ian, son.
Please, son.
And he's only 1 year old. Haribo.
Okay,
Where is your mom?
Baby.
She's sick. You can come take the car. So we'll be singing happy birthday to Ian. Can you get the name? Ian. Okay, let us sing happy birthday for Ian. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ian. Happy birthday to you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much.
Yes.
They just want the blessings of all the devotees for their son, Ian. So we can pray for Ian.
Yes.
Please everyone raise Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Doing Sunday feast for their daughter, daughter birthday Nirvi Ganatra. Okay, so we'll be singing happy birthday to Nirvi. You got the name Nirvi? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nirvi. Happy birthday to you. we're going to chant Hare Krishna for her. And for Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. On the 14th and 15th and 16th of December, please pencil those dates in your calendar. On December 14th, 15th and 16th, we'll have Kirtan festival. This is a 24-hour Kirtan. And on Friday, we have Adivas ceremony. Adivas means it is a pre-invocation before we start the festival. So in the evening, we'll have devotees come and do Kirtan, and we'll have special items which will be offered on the deities. So you'll get to see those. And also on the 18th of December, we'll have Gita Jayanti. We'll have a Yajna at the temple for especially those who are getting a box of Bhagavad Gita. Those who are sponsoring a box of Bhagavad Gita can come and sit in the Yajna and you can take part in the Yajna. So this is very nice to do every year. So our temple president Vedasa Prabhu, he'll be heading up the Yajna, and it'll be very nice. I think many of the devotees have seen this, how we do it. So we'll have, most probably we'll have Amarendra Prabhu is coming for this Gita Jayanti, and he'll be distributing, and we'll be also getting some donation for the Bhagavad Gita for sponsorship. So this will be a great opportunity for all the devotees. Santosh Prabhu, can you get that board, the Kirtan Festival? So this Kirtan Festival, we have still a lot of slot left for the people to sponsor or do some seva for the Kirtan Festival. And you know that to hold a big festival, we do need a lot of, expense, we need a lot of manpower, and we need a lot of devotees' help. So without big help from the devotees, we can't have a big festival. So we are requesting all the devotees, if you are enthusiastic about it, you can however help this Kirtan festival. There is a lot of sponsorship still left. So we have, there is a, every year for this Kirtan festival, we bring a lot of Kirtaniyas. Kirtaniya means, there are special devotees who are actually doing Kirtan around the world throughout the years in different temples in different parts of the world. So we'll be inviting them for the Kirtan festival. So in order to do that, somehow we have to pay their tickets or something. So we do need some sponsorship for this. So if anybody wants to sponsor Kirtaniya Seva, does anyone wants to do some Seva for Kirtaniyas? If you don't want to do it right now, but you can come and see me later on the table there. And then we have audio rental is done. We have still one slot for the altar decoration, because there are a lot of devotees coming. We get like 400 devotees come here for the Kirtan festival, 400 to 500 devotees. So we'll be decorating the deity altar and the temple room. So if anybody wants to to sponsor with the flowers, I think it's $301. If you want to sponsor, if anybody is there for sponsoring altar for the flowers for the altar decoration. Okay. Then we have Friday dinner, prasadam. There is also $501 donation. So there is 2 slots left. If anybody wants to sponsor for dinner prasadam for Friday for the devotees for time for the attending Kirtan festival. Okay. So then I'll just read out the names who have already sponsored for the Kirtan Fest. So we have devotees who have sponsored for the Kirtan Fest for the Kirtan Fest is Ganga Mataji. He gave a Sunday lunch for $1,001 donations. I think her name is there. Please give us a big Haribol for her. Haribol. And then we have Ankur Majmundar. I think he's here. Are you here? Yes. Ankur Majmundar family, they're sponsoring $501 for Saturday lunch. Let's give a big Haribol. Haribol. give a little bit more enthusiastic Haribol. Haribol! Yes, Saturday. And a Saturday lunch actually. And then we have Sandeep Bharadwaj and family. They gave $251 donation for altar decoration. So let's give him a big Haribol. Haribol! And then we have Adi Gadada Prabhu and Radha Baba Mataji. They gave $1,001 donation for Sunday breakfast, and I think they have also sponsored for other things. So let's give them a big Haribol for this nice wonderful Haribol! And then we have Kanda Swami and family. They gave $251 donation for altar decoration. Haribol! Does anyone else want to do any seva for Kirtan festival? So if you are not interested right now, but you can see me later, or you can see me or Vedasar Prabhu or Sikhi Maiti Prabhu or Santa Chaitanya Prabhu, and you can place your donations. Or if you want to do any other seva, we need a lot of volunteers. Actually, it's not only a few days left, so we need a lot of volunteers for serving prasadam, and we need a lot of volunteers for cutting ups, and also we need a lot of volunteers for serving the prasadam too. Outside we're going to be setting up a tent because it's too cold and we'll not be able to fit all the devotees inside the temple. So we'll have a nice, we'll have a warm tent for the devotees to take prasadam. So this prasadam is not like only dinner or something, it's a lunch, breakfast and dinner. We'll be serving 3 times prasadam. So anyone who comes to the Kirtan festival will give them wonderful prasadam. So this will be our service from the Atlanta Jatra, from the Atlanta congregation, the Atlanta temple. So please, all of you are invited for this festival. Thank you very much. And we'll have a final darshan of the deities and the prasadam will be served outside. And if you have children, if you're feeling a little cold, then please take your prasadam from outside and come inside the temple, or you can sit outside. There's a small room there, you can sit there.